Hey, all my brothers, all my sisters, all my kings and queens. It's your boy Mduduzi coming back to y'all with another video. Today is Sunday, the 18th of January 2026. I'm gonna have to turn on the call to tell you the time, but I don't have my watch on me. But yeah, anyways, as y'all can see by the title of this video, work so you are not counted out. Yeah, let's get right into it. You feel me? Today, I'm recovering. I felt sick yesterday. You feel me? Mostly just a runny nose. Other than that, I'm good. But yeah, let's get into the topic, man. Work to not be counted out. What do I mean by that? Being honest to myself and just assessing my life, I have to admit that part of the reason that I'll be working, I'll be going so hard, part of the reason I'll be motivated to get money, do better, is because the reality is you're gonna be counted out if you don't have these things, right? So, this is not 100% correct information that I'm about to say, right, with these facts I'm gonna give. But apparently, I've heard that only about 40% of men have procreated, whilst 60% died without children, right? So the reality is, if you're not that guy, you know what I'm saying? If you're not, there's also another study, right? I can't tell you which one, that says, you know, majority of women only go for 20% or the top 20% of men. The rest of the 80% is kind of like, we don't really see y'all. You know what I'm saying? So the reality is, if you're not that guy, man, and what I mean by that guy, if you don't have your money up, if you don't have that charisma on point, majority of the time, you know what I'm saying, if you don't look good, your hygiene is not on point, you don't know how to talk to women, you're gonna be left out, right? Majority of women are not gonna want you. And the hard thing about this is, I feel like, or personally, there'll always be a woman that likes me. The only problem is, where she at? What do I consider her? So it's like, yes, I probably feel like if I approached many women, I could get a girlfriend. But the girls that are willing, right? Most of them, or that turn around and chase me, they're not the girls I want, honestly. It's like in terms of just looks, maybe they're on like a 5, 6 scale. I feel like I'm attractive, so I do attract, sevens, eights, even nines in my eyes. Even tens, right? I have to put myself in front of many women. But I believe I can attract a 10. But the reality is, you find yourself in a dilemma because you don't want to wife up an average chick as a brother, you feel me? But then the girls you want to wife up, they don't see you as worth it, right? You're not in the top 20, the top 10% of guys. So it's like, if you make the choice not to put that work in, if you think, what, F this, the reality is you're going to be counted out. You're not going to be able to secure a baddie, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you have to do it the right way, where you're not, I feel like you can get to a point where your money's up, maybe you're out of shape, maybe you don't look that good, you don't smell that good, but because you're buying her damn near everything, it's like, it would be stupid for her not to be with you, right? This certain 10, but like, you have to get it to a point where you're not excessively spending money on her. She's willing to come out her pocket for you. You know what I'm saying? Mutual attraction, even though she's a 10. She chooses you out of all her options. But like, yeah, you have to put that work in, or you're gonna be counted out. I look at myself, the brothers around me, the brothers I know. I can't even mention a lot of brothers that have had nice girls, you know what I'm saying? Even if it's just to sleep with them, not even girlfriends. It's like, it's a hard thing to do, you know what I'm saying? Because of the standard of this world. And you have to make a decision, right? As a brother or as a sister, right? Because I know with women, one thing they don't understand is they have to compete for high level men. So with them, because they've been getting attention, they kind of feel like I'm not gonna even. It's not worth it. But like you have to compete. Like if you're not willing to put in that work to level up yourself as a man, right, or as a woman to compete, you have to accept that you're gonna be counted out. This is the reality of this life, you know. I feel like I want to also talk about the most important. You know, originally making this video, it was about girls because I was previously watching a video by KRY, and yeah, he was just talking about the benefits of being single versus being in a relationship, being taken, right? But yeah, it's like one of the things he mentioned was women break rules for you. And this is just the reality. It's like if you're not that guy, you're gonna be counted out and they won't break rules for you. Instead, they will make rules. It's like funny enough, um, should I mention her name? But yeah, whatever, you know, there's a girl, Tato, I've talked about her. I she worked at a certain store, you know what I'm saying, and how I ended up being at that store is we had bought print we had bought ink, right, for the printer we use at the job, and it was giving us a problem because it wasn't the original HP ink. So the boss had sent me with, I bought that ink from her, right? If I'm not wrong. Yes, I bought, no, wait, I don't know where the original ink was gotten that gave us a problem, right? Which wasn't the HP ink. But what ended up happening is uh, my boss had asked me to take the printer. I think it was I had bought the ink, or the ink was bought by the store where Tato worked, because we had originally I remember that we had taken the printer so that they could update the systems, because it's not original ink. There's a certain thing you download, or we had wanted to make the process faster, so we were going to the shop, then they were gonna do it for us, right? So that the ink can work, even though it's not the original. So she was working by that store. She was alone when I pulled up with the printer. Quite nice, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I always, or I've said it before, I'm pushing it to give her an 8, but around 7.5. Like, she's nice. So where I was getting with this whole story is she was telling me, you know, I've already mentioned her name and everything, but yeah, she was telling me about this one situation she was having with this guy. And you know, with me, like, we're about the same age, so I have a good understanding of female nature, how girls move, you know, pretty women. So I was just questioning her on some, you know what I'm saying, what happened with this guy. She's like, long story short, nah, you know what, I gave him, I don't believe in no sex before 90 days. You know, I have the 90-day rule. And, you know, because I find myself attractive, you know, as soon as I was just like, nah, you know, called her out on it, I could see that she applies that rules for certain men. She applies that rule for certain men. It's like, if I had worked my words right, you know what I'm saying, I probably would have been able to smash sooner than the brother who had to wait for 90 days. And she ended up even showing me the brother, right? I won't mention anything about the brother or whatever, but like, in my eyes, I could be like, he's a dweeb. It's like, it wasn't like a man I see and I'm like, this is a guy that's put in that work. It's one of those brothers where you're just like, Okay, you know what I'm saying? If I were to talk the truth, right? Because we compare ourselves, or I compare myself to other brothers and other people. So I looked at him. I was like, he looks quite weak, quite soft. You know what I'm saying? And that's no shade. He's gonna have to go through that phase where he has to just get hard. You know, you have to stay hard out here. Pause. You feel me? But yeah, it's like you have to be that guy where they break the rules for you, or otherwise you're just gonna be counted out. You're gonna have to go on. You know, I heard a story where this one girl, she required 12 dates, I think, before the guy got even a kiss. Just that type of BS. You know, you're gonna be counted out, and this is the sad reality. It's like there's no way around this. You know, you have to put in that work. You know, I go into the next topic of the Lord, right? And one of the verses, which I don't know off by heart, but I want to emphasize is it talk the basically, I'm paraphrasing, but it says, not everyone that calls me Lord, Lord will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but only those who do the will of my Father. So this is just, it's straightforward, right? It's like, yes, in Romans 8, if I'm not wrong, it talks about those who are in Christ Jesus will not be condemned. You know, it's only the KJV, if I'm not wrong, that adds that if you continue living in the spirit and not the flesh. But even when it comes to the Lord, it's like it's a hard conversation to have with people, because I feel like there's a misconception and this false belief of once saved, always saved. That's in the community, right? The Christian community. But it's like you have to put in that work. It's like at the end of the day, even if you do things right, you know, even if you're that only one person like Job, where God looks down from heaven and he's like, have you seen my good and faithful servant Mduduzi? Even though I do everything right, when it comes to the Lord, following all his standards, you know, obviously I don't appear before God, right, when it's time for my judgment in confidence on some, yeah, like I'm definitely making it through no matter what, right? There's always that uncertainty, because God, he rejects who he wants to reject, if I can put in my own words, and he accepts who he wants to accept. So there's never 100% certainty, right? You could be a sinner all your life and repent just before you die, and God will accept you into the kingdom. But it's the reality is you have to put in that work. You have to be living right. John 14 verse 15, if you love me, keep my commandments, something like that, if I'm not wrong. It's like you have to put in that work. There's no other way around it. And I think this is what separates people who are walking on the broad, you know, path, the wide path, and the narrow path. It's because, yes, we are all believers, but are you doing what needs to be done? Are you not committing adultery? Are you not sleeping? Sleeping around before marriage? Are you speaking right? Are you starting to show yourself approved? You know, the little things. Are you giving how you're supposed to be giving? Are you, there's many things that it takes, right? There's many things that you have to do to be a good and faithful servant, a quote unquote Christian. But yeah, it's like there's no way around it. You have to put in that work. And if you don't, you're going to be counted out, when it's time for the Lord to let people in the kingdom. You just might be one of those who are not led in. And this is the reality for everyone, even with me. Like, as much as I talk on different subjects, my YouTube channel is not mainly around God. I like to speak a lot about women and other things. In my walk, right, in my daily walk of life, through all my actions, I have to take God into account, and I have to live right? I have to live soberly, righteously in this life. I have to make sure that I am a good and faithful servant at the end of it, no matter what you guys think of me. I want God to approve me and not men. So there's no way around putting in that work. Like a lot of these things I'm going to talk about, you can always counter it. And what I mean by that is, like how I talk about, you have to be that guy to get like a good looking woman, a woman of character, a woman of substance, because we don't only want her to be good looking. It's like you can think to yourself, you know what, now I just need to pray, which is true, right? Pray, live accordingly, and God will bless you. Because in one of the verses in Proverbs, it talks about houses and riches are the inheritance of fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. So I still believe the Lord will send a woman your way. But it's like, don't get it wrong. You can't just sit back, kick your feet up, and be blessed. You have to put in that work, whether it comes to money, whatever. It's like you can't just, there's no faith without actions, right? And that's one thing I feel like people go wrong. It's like you have to have the right mindset. It's like, and this is why I see that a lot of people that are of this world, they prosper and not as many Christians. It's because I feel like there's a false belief, right, that we are hanging on to, which is working against us. Alex Hormozi, shout out to him. And one of the things he said, one of the videos I watched, right, so powerful. He's like, the only reason another guy is making more money than me is because he's able to see reality more truthfully, right? The closer you are to seeing business or anything more truthfully, the more money you make. And to give my own example, in order to be successful, there's a lot of things people recommend. There's wake up at 4 o'clock, you know what I'm saying, work out. These are like the common things we'll hear, which are good things, but it doesn't mean that doing these things you will be rich and successful. So working out, waking up early, eating clean, learning every day, reading a book. All these are good things, but it doesn't mean that they will take you to riches. And one of the shorts Alex Hormozi dropped, which, the spirit of truth, I feel like confirmed for me. He was just saying, it's like, you don't need to wake up early. You don't need to have a good diet. You don't need to be in shape to make money. What you have to do is find a product that you can sell for more than it requires for you to buy it, so you can have a profit and keep doing that thing over and over again. And that's just what I've seen. It's like there's many fat billionaires, there's many rich people, like maybe drug dealers, people who are not living right, rappers, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is, are you doing what you need to do that will take you to the money? Another thing is, I watched a video by Charlie Morgan, if I'm not wrong. And this was someone Cry recommended. And because I watched Cry, I was like, it would be foolish not to watch a guy higher than him who he's recommending. And because he's also in the self-improvement space, Cry, right? It just makes sense. It's like, don't limit yourself. That's my mindset. So I watched one of his videos, and that video was titled How to Make 10 years of Progress or 20 years in 1 year. And basically what he was just talking about is the reason most people are not successful is they take the long way of doing things. So what he meant by that is like, what you really have to focus on is there are certain, I'm going to call them levers, right? Or levers. I think that's kind of a better pronunciation. There are certain, okay, let me put it in my words. There are certain paths that lead to riches. And what you find is with most people, they go to college, right? So it's high school, they go to college, they get a skill. Most of the time, whether it's college or university, they end up having debt, right? If they didn't have a parent, or someone to pay off, or even themselves, right, to put them through school. So they end up having debt, even if, like, let's say they become a doctor. Then they have to first pay off that debt. Then they start working for themselves. Then after maybe 10, 20, 30 years, they're able to build themselves up to a point where they have wealth and they are wealthy. And, then it's the classic, oh, go to school, you become rich. Whereas someone can drop out of high school at age 15, right? Let's say they can drop out of high school. I always like to use this example, but I'll use another one. But, like, let's say they drop out of high school, they start rapping, they get fame by 16. They get fame, right? They get traction, they get attention. Because they've been studying the game, studying on how to really own your own music, own your own record label to make money, right? And not allow yourself to be ripped off. They structure themselves in a way where they sign to themselves, right? They own all their music, their masters, and they have millions maybe by the age of 17 because maybe they manage themselves, there's no one ripping them off, or just like there's nothing funny along the way, no one taking their money. So they're able to become richer faster than maybe a doctor who's gonna take 20, 30 years. And it's the people will end up looking down on you or just be like, it's 1 in a million. But what they don't understand is this guy took a certain pathway, riches were guaranteed. To give another example, someone can drop out of high school. Basically my father's story, as much as I know it, right, because we didn't really talk like that, but like if I'm not wrong, he dropped out primary school. He moved to, because he's from KZN, he moved to Johannesburg. First started driving taxis, started buying taxis, started a taxi business, built that taxi business, ended up becoming, I'd say, rich, right? So you see, it's like for him, it didn't require him to. One of the things I admire, he never wore a suit or like he wasn't fluent in English. And that just gave me an understanding that you don't have to be all these good things, You don't have to, he wasn't in shape. He wasn't, what can I say? It's just like there's many false beliefs to what you need to do to get rich. He wasn't, what I'm saying, he dropped out primary, he didn't have to go back to school. So there's certain paths that take you to riches faster than other paths. And it's on you whether you're willing to stick to that certain path and all it comes with, right, to get to the riches. But the reality is, if you don't put that work in, you're gonna be counted out. I don't know where I was kind of going with this, but to bring it back to the topic, if you don't put that work in, you're gonna be counted out. And I was saying there's many ways you can counter this truth that I feel like I'm talking. But it's just simple as that. It's like, I think where I was also going with this is, the Bible talks about the children of this world are more shrewd at dealing with money than the children of light. And for me, I kind of understand that because like there's this belief that being rich is wrong in religion. There's this belief that you're not supposed to be rich. Being rich is bad, which I'm kind of saying the same thing. So a lot of Christians, there's this belief that all will be good once you go to heaven. There's this like false belief that holds people back, and because they're not putting in the work, and this is what I've seen. It's like, shout out the brother Mark the Messenger. He was like, him being a believer, I don't know, maybe like 5, 6, 7 years, he's made more progress than like people that have been in church for like 20, 30 years. Because he's actually doing the work. He's actually seeking God. He's reading the Bible. Like for him, the last time I heard, he was about to read the Bible for the 3rd time, right? From what I know. But it's like people can be in church and they haven't read the Bible once. They just read the Bible on a Sunday. They don't even read it. It's just like an image thing, but they're not putting in that work. And unfortunately, they are counted out from the riches we are supposed to have as believers, from having a body not full of sickness. Even me now, like, I'm thankful that, I got the sickness yesterday. I already feel that I'm recovered. And even the word says, as by the stripes that he took, basically, I'm paraphrasing it, we are healed. So I believe I'm healed. Besides this, I'm not going to be sick. Sickness is not my portion. So it's like, if you don't put that work in, you're going to be counted out. Not from all these things I'm about to mention, but just by also the promises of God, God has great promises for us, but majority of people are not experiencing these promises because they are not putting in the work. The classic one I like to go to is, God says, if you seek me with all your heart, you will find me. Lots of people have not found God because they haven't done what he said. Even with me, it's like, I can honestly say I haven't seeked God with all my heart, and that's why I haven't found him the way I want to find him, right? So it's as simple as that, guys. If you don't put in that work, you're going to be counted out, There are instances, and I believe this is where you should feel okay with being counted out. It's like, I've heard when brothers are, when you've got your things together, what will happen is maybe certain guys won't invite you to maybe parties or gatherings because it's like now you can steal their girls. Now it's an insecurity things. That's the only reason you should be counted out. Other than that, it's like you feel the pain of being counted out. I was just talking to a brother. I gave a lift. He stays in the complex. And yeah, basically, because I let people speak, one of the things he said was, you can end up regretting 40 years of life from not putting in that work. And this is a sad reality, but this is the truth. It's like, you don't put in that work, not only will you regret it, you'll be counted out. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I don't want, obviously, for myself and for y'all, man. Honestly, I see it in all facets of life, whether it comes to women, money. You have to acquire the right skills or you're going to be counted out. You won't get to the bag, right? The Lord, most important. Friends, you have to be reciprocal. One of the laws laid down in the Bible, right? It's a verse, but it talks about he who has many friends must shew himself friendly. So it's like, even with me, right, at the point I'm in, it's like, it's just pretty straightforward. If you don't reciprocate, if you don't show love, there's not much desire in me to show love to you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why should I? So you'll be counted out from having friends. At the end of the day, I feel like we should strive to have a lot of friends, even though it comes with many other things. But it's like, it's a good thing to be surrounded by a lot of faithful people. I feel like people, they talk against it because the reality is not a lot of people are truthful, not a lot of people are faithful. They don't have your best interest at heart. But if you could have 100 people like that are truthful, honest, have your best interest, why not rather than having 5? It's way better. There's strength in numbers. So yeah, it's like, even though I just talked mainly about 2 things, I felt like I should make this video because I truly believe if you don't put in that work, you'll be counted out. Whether it's in not having the proper physique, right? And that comes with eating right, with working out. mainly with the women, certain opportunities, right? It's like when I look at opportunities, when I look at certain things, it's like you have to put in that work when it comes to character. A lot of, right, because where I work for a doctor, a lot of the patients he gets are referrals, right? A lot of people always talk about, oh, you're such a good doctor, I heard about you. And I believe we provide, excellent service. Me and the doc, we're both believers, you feel what I'm saying? He does his job well. I do my job well as the receptionist, always coming with the best, I'm saying, best spirit, best attitude, you know what I'm saying? I'm a friendly receptionist, because I also don't like whenever I go to a place and they have the wrong attitude. But I feel like the whole environment as a whole creates a safe space for patients, for people, to where, he's gotten it multiple times that, oh, you are my best doctor. I'm never going anywhere else. That type of thing. So it's like you have to put in that work where you are trusted, right? Even with me, like I have to be trusted. Like, one of my reps, I talk about I occupy certain positions because my heart's been tested. And that's just the reality. It's like if you are not trustworthy, you won't get access to certain opportunities. If I didn't put in that work of maybe just going to certain home cells, being in the midst of certain believers, I wouldn't have gotten that privilege of being invited to people's houses that are beautiful, right? Having that experience, or people taking me out, because the word says, give and it shall be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over, if I'm not wrong. If you don't give, if you don't put in that work of giving, you won't be in a situation where they give to you. I've been given many things, like the laptop I'm using, they gave it to me. Picnic baskets, it's like money. Let's not talk about money. You're so much money. Just all the things people have done to me. It's like big part of it is because I accepted the truth of God's word and I gave how He said I should, and I'm receiving, right? So you basically reap what you sow. What you put in is what you get out. Basically, it's like there's no other way around this. Honestly, it's like the classic saying. I don't know who it comes from, but I'm not better than you because I'm richer. I'm richer because I'm better than you. Because I'm living it and I'm richer, and I'm better than certain people. I never see myself as better. I just see it as the simple old truth that I'm doing more than this person. I am refraining from things I'm supposed to refrain from. I'm just doing what it takes, and that's what it takes. You know what I'm saying? Or just accept being counted out, and that's what it comes with. It's your boy, Mduduzi. I'm out. Peace.